Hashem Svasai Tivtach Upia Gitol Sacha. We're now in the 7th Perek of Yehoshua. This Perek comes after last Perek to highlight the importance of each individual Jew. Every Jew matters. When we said Ish Echad B'Lev Echad, one nation, one heart, it really applied. And this Perek highlights that. First of all, somebody took from the Cherem. Remember, Yehoshua was commanded just to do all of the 7, go around with the 7. He was never told that to warn the people about taking the spoils from the war. Moshe Rabbeinu was warned. He was directly given the instruction, boys, do not take from the spoils. But it was a different situation. And we know that in halacha, the amazing thing about halacha is that we have the rabbis in each generation because the rabbis have to interpret based on our generation. And so when Moshe was saying, don't take the spoils, that was before the Jews were Ish Echad B'Lev Echad. That was before there was this unity that was needing to happen in order for the Jews to function. Here, the Jews are together. We're all one. We're needed in order to be successful in Eretz Yisrael. And to be successful, that means that when Vayimalu B'nei Yisrael, but it wasn't B'nei Yisrael. It was, what's the rest of the pasuk? Vayikach Achan. No, it was just one individual who's from Yehuda who takes the Cherem, and that makes Hashem angry at all B'nei Yisrael. So Hashem is angry at all B'nai Israel because of one person. Why is that? So perhaps one could say that if the Jews were on a level where they weren't completely enthralled and obsessed with money, then Achan would not have had the environment to come to this by taking the cherem, all the spoils. Another way to look at it is that, yes, Hashem got angry with Bnei Israel because when he got angry with Achan, there are 2 ways that Hashem gets angry with us. One way is to punish us, and the other way is to remove himself, like we have the Megillas Esther, Haster Aster, that Hashem removes his presence from us. Now, if Hashem removes his presence from us, what ultimately happens? Who suffers the repercussions, if not Bnei Israel? And so for that reason, it did seem and it felt like Hashem is angry with Bnei Israel because on some level, he was showing Hester Panim. So what happens? Yehoshua then sends people from Yericho to Ai, which is the next place to go and spy on the country. And that's exactly what they do. They go and they spy on Ai. And they report to Yehoshua and they said, no, you know what? It's not a big deal. Now, what do you mean it's not a big deal? Well, it's not a big deal. Just 2,000 or 3,000 men should go attack Ai. We don't have to have major trouble with the troops. Like, they're not a very strong people. What in the world is happening? Perhaps what's happening is gaiva. The Jews they have just been really successful. They're on top of the top. And so what do they start to say? They start to say, you know what, my hishtalos, my efforts, not so needed. We've got this one in the bag, right? How many times are there sports teams that go against a team when they really assume, you know what, this is not going to be a formidable opponent, and they don't play well? Well, here, they are telling Yehoshua, we don't really need to play so well. We can put in our 2nd tier or 3rd tier men. It's really fun, and it's really going to be okay. And Hashem, again, that is not at all the Jewish way. We are not haughty. In fact, we know that the reason that we have Eretz Yisrael is because Avram. Now, Avram was very special. What did he say? He said, Anochi Afar Ve'ifer. I am nothing. That was his moda operandi. He lowered himself for the sake of Hashem. And here we're saying, no, we got this in the bag. That's the opposite. And so you don't get the zechus of Avram if you are going to be haughty and think of yourself like, I don't have to put in the effort. Now, Rabbi Rosner mentions a beautiful Beis Levi that I think is just a beautiful concept. When Avram is saying, Anochi Afar ve'efer, I am like dirt And I'm like, ashes. Why would he say that? So dirt does not have a past, because dirt is nothing, but what it does have is a future. Now, ashes had a past. They were something, but they don't have a future because nothing can grow. So what is Avram really saying? He's saying, my past and my future, they're not relevant to me. Only you, Hashem, you are the power. And that idea of being really modest for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is important, because that is, we are not people that are Baal Gaiva. It doesn't work in our whole mentality, because really it's Hashem who is doing it. And so what happens, unfortunately, Vayaku mehem anshe ha'ai shloshim v'shisha ish. 36 people are killed from Ai, and they push them down, and vayim asli vav ha'am vayhi lamayim. They start to be very upset. They start to feel like, what just happened? Now, again, every man counts. You not only have Achan, who created a problem, but now we have a new problem, which is Yehoshua is made aware. So what does one do when every person counts and everybody matters? He puts it on himself. Vayikra Yehoshua simlosav. He rips his clothing. He realizes, wait a second, I didn't do right. What didn't I do right? Well, this whole thing with the whole thing with the spoils are all his fault, because truthfully, he made a cherem that there wasn't supposed to be a cherem. So he is a big piece of this. The second, and he falls on the ground, as he realizes, wait a second, this war thing, he wasn't even there. He sent the men ahead. Remember, we've discussed, a good Jewish leader goes in front of his men, not at the back. And so this is a really big issue that he is now owning. And he falls to the ground in front of the Aron, and him, the Zignei Yisrael, and he puts afar they all put afar on their heads. Now we're starting to have the tshuva process. Afar. Now we're starting to become like Avram again. Yehoshua realized, wait a second, there's something wrong with the picture. You know what it is? The people were too haughty. They really thought that they could just outnumber the Ai people. Easy. Yeah, we'll just send a few thousand, no big deal. Wait a second. Let's go back to our roots. And everyone's roots matter. Every single person. It has to be everyone, the collective Yisrael, that are doing what they have to do. And so Yehoshua takes this on his hand, and he ultimately turns it the way that we know that Moshe turned it as well, which is, wait a second, Hashem, you can't do this, please. We're so sorry, but it's a chilul Hashem. It will not look good on you and on us, but mostly on you. This is your great name. Your great name. You can't let this happen. You're strong. Come on, do your thing. You have a reputation to uphold. And what is Yehoshua? What is he told? Kum lach. Get up. Get up. Yeah, get up. Be the leader. You should have been there for the 3,000 people. Get up. Right? Recognize that you cannot just do a cherem take ownership. This is not good. Lama za'atano fel panacha. Why are you lying down? You should, with your head on the ground, do something. And so now he did not ask the Urim and Tumim before they went to war. He did not go in front of the battle. He has what to apologize for. But then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Chata Yisrael, all of Yisrael sinned. Remember, the collective people, one person matters. And because that one person who took the cherem, that's enough, right? You broke my faith. And he's blaming all of Bnei Yisrael because the environment is just not a conducive environment to spiritual growth when everyone's obsessed with money. And so therefore, the Bnei Yisrael, they're not going to be able to do anything against their enemies, because if I'm angry with you, you're done. right? Unless lo osif li osimachem, I'm not going to be with you. Im lo tishmadu hachem karichem. You need to do something about this. There cannot be any spoils in this environment. We do not put money first. We put it as something that is just transient, something that we don't take forever. We don't take it with us. He tried to take it with him, not working. And so purify yourself. Kum kadisha sa'am, make them pure. V'amartim hikdishul machar, right? Tomorrow. And that's what it's going to be. And otherwise, you're not going to be able to stand up to your enemy. I am the source behind all of the good things that are happening. And so if I don't help you, you're not going to be able to be helped. And so that tomorrow morning, you're going to do. And now he asks Yehoshua to come up with how to find the guy by himself. Now, Hashem could have just told Yehoshua, okay, so it was, Achan, and that is a really bad thing. But instead, he makes him work for it. They're going to do a lottery, and all of the different shvatim are going to come, of all the different houses, and ultimately, they're going to figure it out. And the Urim and Tumim, they're the ones that start to. The Urim and Tumim, first of all, it went dim for Shevet Yehuda, and it's a process. Why didn't he just tell him? Because that's kum, get up, Yehoshua, do something. You're a leader. You're a Besra Mensch. You're one of all Bnei Yisrael. All Bnei Yisrael have to do their best job. They have to do their part. And him as a leader really had to. So ultimately they find that he is from Shevet Yehuda. He's from the house of Zerach. And finally they find who it is, that it was Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerach from Yehuda. Now at that moment, it's not comfortable for Achan, of course. Now the person who to whom this notoriety is the accused is going to be put to death by stoning. Stoning because it's possible that he was Chil Hashem by carrying the cherem on Shabbos, but ultimately him, and some say that his children also die. But irrespective of that, he at first he says he tries to hold back, and really the whole Shevet of Yehuda are ready to get into a war to protect their clansmen, which again is a beautiful thing, but really going to lead to something very bad. And ultimately, Yehoshua urges him, no, just tell the truth. We know it's you. This is not something that you can hide from. And that's what he says. Achan says, yes, Anochi chatati laHashem. I did wrong. You're right. I saw it, I wanted it, and I took 200 shekels of silver. I took some gold weighing 50 shekels. I wanted them, and I took them. And I buried them in my ground, in my tent, meaning I thought I could take it with me. I thought if I bury it, if I hide it, if I have it, if I own it, that it would be mine. No, that's not the way money works. It's not the goal, it's not the purpose, and it ultimately just doesn't work that way. And ultimately, that's what they do. They take all of the gold and the silver and everything that he reported that he took, and they take Achan with all of it, and his sons and his daughters and his ox and his donkey and his flock and his tent, everything. And they bring it to Emek Achor. What's Emek Achor? Emek Achor is from dark. It's a dark time, and it creates misery. Because ultimately, with the wrong values, it all creates misery. It doesn't help anybody to have that level of trying so hard to bury your gold, and to have it when it's not even part of your process in this world. And so for that reason, they pelt him with stones, and then they put them to the fire and they stone them. And these stones are still there ad Yom Hazeh. Another thing ad Yom Hazeh, another stone situation ad Yom Hazeh forever. Why is that? Because ultimately, the reason that his children saw, or the reason that we have these stones, is that we learn from it. Achan was one of a lot of people in Klal Yisrael, but his actions mattered. They represented where each one of us, where we have to not deviate from the way of Hashem, and understand that we are responsible for one another. We're responsible for our actions. We're responsible to have the right values. We're responsible to the point where we have to share that with our children. Otherwise, what our children see is our own destruction. Because that's what Achan saw. Now, what's very interesting is that Achan wrote Al Kain Nekaveh Lecha. So Al Kain Nekaveh is the word, if you take the first letters, you get Achan. Achan wrote a beautiful tefillah in tshuva when he realized and he recognized that he had done something wrong. He responded with, Hashem, I believe in you, and I see that that you are everything, and I bow to you, and you represent everything in this world, the message that Hashem, you're the master. And so he does, and he leaves us with something. He leaves us with an understanding that tshuva is a process. Now, why did they get so upset about these 36 men? Because perhaps there was another individual, an important, powerful man, Yair ben Menashe, and he was killed. And 36 highlights something important. The 36 is half of the idea of there's 70 people for the Sanhedrin, so 35 would be just in half, and 36 is one more than half of the Sanhedrin. And that highlights that the importance of one individual. They were crying and sad over one individual because every person matters. We all have an important role and job in Hashem's army. And it's important for us to always recognize that as parents, as role models, as part of people in the collective whole of Klal Yisrael. Now, Achan was singled out, but he too did tshuva, and his tshuva matters. His actions mattered on the negative, but look what we're left with. We have a davening that we say every single day, multiple times, because the power of the individual is so strong.